What's up guys, and welcome back to MOV Plus. Hope you're all keeping well out there. We're gonna get into this warm up. So the first minute, you guys are gonna decide what you're gonna do. You can pick your own cardio option there. What we're gonna do is a lateral plate hop. So this is gonna kind of look like a ski jump sort of a deal, going side to side over the top of a plate. From there, the next 4 minutes, what we're gonna do is 20 seconds of dumbbell deadlifts. So moving through these ones. We then have a 10-second rest, and then we go into 20 seconds of up downs, which is gonna look like this. Okay, followed by another 10-second rest, and that structure will repeat for those 4 minutes. Good to go, Em? Yep. All right, starting in 10. So 1 minute of cardio, starting things off. We're going in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So remember guys, you can pick what you want to do here. There's plenty of different options you can work with. Running high knees, jumping jacks, skipping, do a plate grounder overhead if you want to move some weight. If you're doing this one guys, a really good idea is pick a low target. So if you've got your option with the plates, go for something small so it's not a gigantic jump. And I would say always keep your eyes kind of cast down to the target. You want to make sure you're not staring off somewhere else, losing track of where you are relative to that plate. The last thing we want is for you to clip your foot on the edge and trip, or land off the other side and kind of roll the ankle off. We want to make sure we're nice and safe as we move through it. You'll notice Em's keeping her feet nice and close together and just kind of springing off the balls of the feet as she goes over the top. So 15 more seconds, and then we're going to get into that second piece with the deadlifts and the up downs. All right, going in 3, 2, 1, so onto the deadlifts. So 20 seconds on this, followed by a 10-second rest. So we want a nice flat back, hinging at the hips, going to ground and then up to stand up. And resting, so we go to up downs for the next block. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So with this one guys, we're looking for 2 straight positions. So straight at the top, so that's nice open hips, and then straight at the bottom, getting that nice push-up position. So extending the legs right out the back there until we hit that sort of straight line from head down to heels. And resting. The dumbbells back again. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. Now you might find with these, obviously with dumbbells as opposed to say like a barbell with plates, this will feel like a much deeper rep. You're gonna have to come down a lot more, and it's gonna take a bit more mobility through the hamstrings. So if you don't quite have that guys, only go to sort of mid-calf. It's much more important to keep the back straight than it is to touch the ground. And resting. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So notice Em's got nice active shoulders when she hits the ground, because this is a very similar movement to a burpee. The tendency is people will kind of want to drop through and soften those arms. She's going to hit those brakes. As soon as the hands hit the ground, she's locking them out. So she's got a nice stable position to work from in that upper body. Resting. So we're going to go 2 more minutes of this. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So there's a lot of bend at the hips. There's a little bit of bend at the knees, not too much. You can see that she's working with some nice vertical shins. So she's kind of keeping the hips back, stretching on those hamstrings. And resting. And go. If we check out her footwork as she moves through this, she's going to bring the feet quite close together. She's going for that nice narrow position at the back, and then as she comes up, she's going to jump the feet out wide, so possibly even wider than shoulder width. That'll allow her to keep her hips nice and high. And resting. All right, we've got 1 more cycle through. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. As you move through these deadlifts, guys, don't just go through the motions. I want you to actually think about what's doing the work here. So think about tensing the hamstrings, the glutes, the low back. Generally, if you've got a straight back, will be switched on either way, but we want to definitely think about the butt squeezing as we stand this up. All right, resting. Okay, last lot of up downs. And go for it. So you want to keep a nice, strong midsection. When you hit the brakes at the bottom, you can see Em's even just bouncing out of it. She's not allowing herself to go loose and drop through with those hips. And done. All right, so that's the warm-up done, guys. Have a little bit of a rest, and then we're gonna check out the move workout next. Alrighty, so we're gonna have a look at the move workout now, guys. What we have for this one is every 3 minutes for 4 rounds. We're gonna go through 28 jump lunges, which are gonna look like this. Okay, so jumping back and forth. That then goes into 14 alternating hang power snatches. So we're gonna be going from between the legs, up to overhead, changing hands along the way. So with this, guys, if that takes you, say, 2 minutes, then you've got 1 minute left out of that 3-minute block to rest. So the quicker you get it done, obviously the more recovery time you get. We're doing 4 rounds of this. Good to go? All right, starting in 10. Three, 2, 1, and go. So important thing to know straight out of the gates with these jump lunges, guys, if you do not have the coordination or the strength or the stability to do regular lunges, certainly don't do the jumping version, right? Slow it down, nail the basics first. If you feel like you can do jump lunges pretty confidently or do regular lunges confidently, then we can hit these up. So key things we're gonna be looking out for is, can I keep my posture tall or am I slouching forward, right? I wanna be able to stay nice and upright. And can I hit the same length of stand? So can I coordinate that body position to be the same every time so that I get a nice gentle touch of the knee to the ground and the front foot has the heel planted in the bottom of the movement. Obviously it's gonna pop up at the top as we jump, but in the bottom we want that heel down. As we move through the alternating hang power snatch, a couple of things we want to think about is, from hang position, that means the dumbbell is going to stay up above knee height or thereabouts, so it's not a full one to the ground. And it being a power snatch means we're going to catch it nice and high. And you might even do what Em's doing here, and that is a muscle snatch where there's no re-dip back underneath it. She's just pulling it straight to the top using the strength of the shoulders. So either one of them is fine. We're doing 14 alternating reps on that. Nice, all right. So that took her about 1:26, so she's got the rest of that 3-minute block to rest now and have a little bit of a chill, and then we'll reload for the other 3 rounds. So we'll take 1 more minute and then we'll get into that next round. Okay, 15 seconds, hit up round 2. All right, 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So we're back on the 28 jump lunges. Now these by no means need to be unbroken. Obviously the closer to unbroken you can get it, the better, but it's more important that we make sure the form stays sharp the whole time. So rather than me trying to just drag out 28 reps that get real sketchy halfway through, Might be better to do what Em's doing here and just breaking them into small groups of sort of 6 to 12 at a time, something like that. And she's doing this on a nice bit of like dense foam rubber padding on the ground, which is going to make it a lot easier for her knee to contact the floor. If you're doing this on hard ground, you know, tiles, floorboards, concrete, something like that, grab an ab mat if you have it, but otherwise like a towel, roll up a hoodie, a couch cushion, something to put down as a marker, because we want to have that touch marker at the bottom to know we've hit depth, but we also don't want to crash our knee into anything hard on the floor. So Em's switched it up to something a little heavier here, which is always an option to do, guys. If you do that first round and feel like it was a little too easy, you can crank it up a little bit if you have the options at home. You can always work with a little bit more tempo or add a little bit more volume if you need to. If your only options are quite a lightweight, you can make it more challenging that way. So we've got a nice hip hinge pattern here, guys. You notice as the dumbbell swings between the legs, she's going to move the hips back, but she's not going to bend her back over. She's going to keep it nice and extended, and that way she can apply a lot of force as she comes up. Also keeps her back nice and safe too. So we'll be resting through to the 6 now. So 1 more minute. All right, 30 seconds, then we're gonna get this third round underway. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go. If you find that the form breaks down too much, guys, to the point where you can only do like 1 or 2 at a time, might be worth regressing it back to the regular lunges. So just a step forward or a step backwards. Either of them is fine. And keep an eye on the foot that's out in front, whether it's right or left, whichever one's out in front of you at the moment. Make sure that heel stays in contact with the floor. What we don't want to have happen is as we drive off the ground, we don't want it to be all through the toes. And I feel like that foot is fully grounded and we use all the surface of the foot to drive up. I really like that Em's absorbing straight into the next rep. Something that we see sometimes happen when people get tired is they'll clunk to like stiff legs to stop themselves dropping down and then going to the next rep. She's just smoothly going from one to the next to the next. All right, back on these hang power snatches. Em's going with a nice neutral grip. So what that means is the dumbbell is always going to point kind of forwards, backwards along the way. She's not got it sort of crossed across the body. So sort of like what we call like a hammer grip. And that way it's just a nice, easy transition all the way through. It also makes the top a bit more stable. If she has the palm facing the front, there's a tendency for that shoulder to be kind of wavering around. But when we turn into that neutral position, it kind of winds it up, creates some good tension there, and makes it hit a nice hard stop at the finish. So that's 3 sets down. We've got 1 to go. We'll go at the 9-minute marker. 30 seconds. Ten seconds. So this will be our last round. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So one thing I really like here is that Emma's keeping her knee tracking with her toe. So what I mean by that is when her front leg is out in front there, she's not collapsing that knee inside the line of the foot, she's keeping it lined up with the toe. And that's going to be the same on the back leg, everything's lined up nicely. And that way that hinge joint of that knee is not getting kind of twisted off angle, putting undue stress on it. All right, you got this, Em. Okay, so lunges done. We're moving to the hang power snatches. Now, with this being a single-sided movement, even though we're going right to left, alternating, each individual rep is a single-sided one. So what we're going to find is the body will have a tendency to want to twist and rotate into it. Now, a little bit of light rotation is kind of natural for this sort of thing, but we don't want to go excessive. So we want to sort of keep the shoulders and the hips as square as possible. Only have just the necessary amount to get the dumbbell through the legs, but we don't want to feel like we're kind of twisting the body and folding through and creating a bad angle through that back. So Em's done with her reps there. We've got about 90 seconds left on the clock. So if you're still going, guys, that's totally fine. You take your time through that, and then we'll push on after this. So 1 more minute. Okay, last 30 seconds on that timer, guys. Hopefully you're getting to the tail end of those hang power snatches. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and done. Alrighty, guys, that is the move workout done. Grab some water, have a bit of rest, and then we're gonna finish off with some cool down stretches next. Alrighty, guys, so now that we've done all the hard stuff, we're gonna finish things off with a little bit of cool down mobility. So 2 drills we're gonna do. The first one is what we call a reverse scorpion. So laying on your back with the arms out in like a T shape, and I'm gonna bring the leg across the body. So we're gonna do this for a minute. And the goal with this long term is to get to the point where you can put your foot to your opposite hand. Now, that's possibly not something you necessarily get today, but over the long term we'll develop towards that. And we're really looking at getting into kind of hamstrings, glutes, low back, that sort of thing. You'll get a little bit through the abs with that rotation as well. But this is just a nice one after we've done things like the deadlifting and the lunging and that sort of stuff. So we'll go 30 more seconds. Now, the temptation with this will be when the leg comes over, kind of the weight of that going across and your hips rolling across, we'll want to drag the upper body with it. We're gonna keep that nice and flat, so we get that nice kind of separation of upper and lower body. Good, so that's drill number 1. The second one we're gonna do is what we call a tabletop. So we're gonna basically go into kind of like a crab walk position. And what we'll do is we're gonna bridge the hips up. Yep. A little bit of a tilt forwards and then back down again. Now this one's going to be very, very independent of each of you as to how far forward you go. If you've got tight shoulders, it probably won't have much range, but we just want to gently encourage that to open up through sort of pecs, shoulders, biceps, that sort of thing. Dipping forward and then coming back. Take a second or so rest in between each rep. And the hand position is really what's just most comfortable for you. Em's got her hands kind of mostly pointing forward at the moment. She could turn them out, she can turn them backwards. It's really up to what feels best for her. Good, we'll go one more. Nice. Alrighty guys, so those are the 2 drills I want you to do. Let's get 3 or 4 rounds of that, get the body nice and loose. Otherwise we'll catch you next time, and that's been your MOV+ workout.